I finally watched The Machine, so let's talk about it. Like the title says, I watched The Machine, so you don't have to. But if you're a Bert fan, you've probably already watched the movie. If you're not a Bert fan, well, the answer is easy. Don't bother. The movie fails to stand on its own, and even though it's classified as an action comedy, it doesn't do either of those things particularly well. If you don't know, Bert literally became everything he is today because of The Machine's story, and oh boy has he melted to the ground. So buckle in, because I'm gonna do a review so you don't have to watch the movie. There will definitely be spoilers in this video, so don't say I didn't warn you. And if you do enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
I'm going through some shit! I need your help! I'm gonna piss on my pants!
The plot of the movie revolves around Bert's signature set known as, you guessed it, The Machine. The story goes, in college, Bert takes Russian, largely because of a deal he made with the professor who would pass him as long as he just showed up to class. Consequently, and crucially, he only learned a few phrases. The last thing Kreischer needed to do in order to earn his minor in Russian was to spend a semester abroad in Russia. While there, he starts hanging out with the local mafia, and that's when things get interesting. To make the long story short, while on a train ride to Moscow, he parties with the mafia and eventually robs the whole train with them. In the movie, they explain that he robbed a watch from a simple, honest man, and the robbery was such a turning point for him that he went on to create one of the biggest crime families in Russia. Now that you know the setting, let's talk about some of the things that stood out to me. The first thing that didn't make any sense to me was when they kept portraying the Machine as some mythical being. Like at one point in the movie, he gets confronted because someone overhears him calling himself the Machine.
I ripped my shirt off and yell, I'm the Machine! Hey! Who says I am Machine? You?
They say Machine can walk through walls. Only a ghost can do that. You are not Machine.
The Machine can walk through walls? Like, what are we talking about here? Let me get this straight. This guy goes to Russia. He drinks and parties with the mafia, tells a few jokes, and uses Western pop culture references. Then, 25 years later, he's turned into some godlike figure? I think I missed a few steps there because that makes no fucking sense. Like, Bert was getting really up his own ass with that one. Just like when he arrives in Russia and finds out that he's famous as hell there.
That's me. I'm the Machine. Why am I on a billboard?
Da, you're famous, huh?
I'm pop folklore in the Soviet Union. You've already said it twice. That's me. That's me on this bottle of vodka that says the Machine.
He's a vodka mascot, which seems pretty accurate. Just like in real life, his whole personality revolves around him being a drunk. He's like 50, but still portrays this over-the-top, dumbed-down frat boy persona. You'd think that a movie made by a comedian about the comedian's comic routine would be funny, but it's really not. Like, I had a few moments where I smiled, but personally, I didn't have any laugh-out-loud moments. That could be because I don't find Bert funny at all, but I will admit that this next scene did actually make me grin.
What is wrong with this shirt? Supposed to be like this? Hey, babe. If I stand like this, does it look tucked in?
Don't wear that shirt.
I know it's dumb, but hey, sometimes the low-hanging fruit hits, until it doesn't. Like, they kept making the fat jokes throughout the movie about Bert's weight, and it got old pretty quick.
You're fat. And you have tits. Very disturbing.
That's body shaming. And honestly, I expect more empathy out of a woman.
Such a disappointment.
He's Machina? The man's man? Nah. He has, breasts.
But you're not famous. You have tits.
Machina! Igor! You look like a big bad, I mean, what?
Switching gears, let's talk about the plot, or lack thereof. The whole movie revolves around a watch that Bert stole from the future Mafia Don back in the 90s.
My father was no criminal. He was a salesman. And then you stole the only thing he ever cared about. Called police, but no one would help him. It made him say, fuck honest living. If you want respect, you have to take it. And from there, he built our family.
So they talk about this watch and how it meant so much to her father, but they never explain why. Like, was it a family heirloom? Was it worth a lot of money? Like, why did he care so much about this damn watch? And I get that it just serves as a plot device, but give it some more meaning so that I, as a viewer, care. Like at the end of the movie when he finally gets this watch.
I brought it here to return it to you.
So,
It is clear that I have won.
Irina, Irочка.
So he gets the watch, looks at it for 5 seconds, and then just moves on. It's so frickin' anticlimactic. There's no grand scheme behind it, it was literally there so we could get from one scene to the next. And that wouldn't be such a big deal if other parts of the movie made up for it, but that never happens. This brings me to my next point of the movie glorifying alcoholism. I know that that's kind of Bert's shtick, getting drunk and shirtless, but it's so frickin' lame. In the movie they act like he's Popeye, but instead of spinach, booze is his fuel.
Oh, we're not gonna die. Here. You have always succeeded by being exactly you. Now, take off that shirt and show those SOBs who you really are.
You do drink like Russian.
Being an alcoholic college frat boy is one thing, but doing that in your 50s is just lame, obnoxious, and boring. What wasn't boring was Jimmy Tatro. He was probably one of the few highlights from the movie. I actually think he did a really good job as a young Bert.
Ya machina. Ya machina.
Mushina means badass. Machina means machine. I said I was the machine.
You're an idiot.
Ya machina.
Luckily, they thought it was hilarious.
Comparing the scenes of Bert and Jimmy, you really see why having a good lead is important. When Jimmy is in a scene, he steals the show. He made the audience care, whereas Bert kind of felt like he was just there doing his lines. I get that he's a comedian by trade and not an actor, but that really showed through. Jerry in Seinfeld was the same, but he was definitely a better actor than Bert, which really isn't much of a compliment, but the actor he surrounded himself with and the writing made up for it. Unfortunately, that didn't happen in this movie. I think the most impressive part of this whole thing is how Bert somehow convinced a studio to shell out $20 million to make the movie.
That shirtless idiot thing? It pays off big time.
Talk about hitting the lottery with one bit. I can't think of anyone else that has milked one story for so long. If you can think of one, let me know in the comments. My final verdict for the movie is that it's not funny enough to work as a comedy and not thrilling enough to work as an action movie. It's no Step Brothers, but it's also no Gringo Poppy. It's a middle of the road movie, but I don't think it's worth watching in the theaters, which is a good thing because it's already available for streaming. This movie is only for the most dedicated and hardcore fans of Bert, and even they will be disappointed. If you do still want to watch it, keep your expectations low and you might actually enjoy it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
รู้กินเหล้า
จนเกลียด
เลิกเหล้า
ทำงาน 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 เก็บเงิน ทำงาน เก็บเงิน ใช้หนี้ ทำงาน เก็บเงิน ได้เรียน มีกิน ช่วยเหลือ ผ่องใส เมียรัก อบอุ่น ไม่ป่วย รวยปัญญา พัฒนา ฉลาด เจริญไปถึงไหนแล้วก็ไม่รู้